Good morning, my dear children. Today we are going to take up the chapter Footprints Without Feet. And this chapter deals with a scientist who becomes invisible. And what he does after becoming invisible is what we need to learn in this story. So imagine how wonderful it is to be an invisible man, a man who is not visible to anybody. So let us see what the story is about. The two boys started in surprise at the fresh, muddy imprints of a pair of bare feet. What was a barefooted man doing on the steps of a house in the middle of London? And where was the man? As they gazed, a remarkable sight met their eyes. A fresh footmark appeared from nowhere. Now, here, two boys are in the middle of London and they see fresh, muddy prints of a pair of bare feet. Bare feet means a feet which is not having any slippers or shoes. Now, as they were gazing, as they were observing these footprints, they suddenly see that a new footprint appears. But there is no man seen there. Further footprints followed, one after other, descending the steps and progressing down the streets. The boys followed, fascinated, until the muddy impressions became fainter and fainter and at last disappeared altogether. Now, these two children are following two footprints which are just falling on the street, and there is no man seen, and they are really excited to follow these footprints, and they follow it till it becomes lighter and lighter. The footprints totally disappear after some time. So where are these footprints coming from? The explanation of the mystery was really simple enough. The bewildered boys had been following a scientist who had just discovered how to make the human body transparent. Now, were these two boys following? They were following a person, a scientist, who had learned how to make the body transparent, invisible to others. Griffin, the scientist, had carried out experiment after experiment to prove that the human body could become invisible. Finally, he swallowed certain rare drugs and his body became as transparent as a sheet of glass, though it also remained as solid as glass. Now, this story is about a scientist by named Griffin who carried many experiments to make himself invisible, and at last he succeeded by drinking some rare medicines, and his body becomes transparent like how the glass is. The glass is very transparent, isn't it? And not only transparent, it is solid like glass also. Brilliant scientist though he was, Griffin was rather a lawless person. His landlord disliked him and tried to eject him. In revenge, Griffin set fire to the house. To get away without being seen, he had to remove his clothes. Thus it was that he became a homeless wanderer, without clothes, without money, and quite invisible until he happened to step in some mud and left footprints as he walked. Now, this particular scientist was very brilliant, but he was not a good person because when his landlord wanted him to go out of the house, he, due to revenge, he set fire to the house. He burns the landlord's house, and this person becomes invisible when he is without his clothes. If he wears the clothes, though his face may not be seen, his body will take the shape of the cloth and you can see somebody walking. So he had to remove all his clothes and run away so that he becomes invisible. And but what happens is when he was running away like this, his legs fall on the sticky mud, and that mud leaves the footprints wherever he walked. I hope you understood this part of the story. wherein Griffin, a scientist, becomes invisible and he's not a good man and he's just invisible and he just walks around. He escaped easily enough from the boys who followed his footprints in London. But his adventures were by no means over. Now, somehow he escaped from the boys who were following his footprints. But here his adventures don't end. He had chosen a bad time of the year to wander about London without clothes. Now, the time of the year was bad for him to walk without clothes in London. Though his body is invisible, he is a man. And he also feels the cold, the heat, everything around him. It was midwinter. The air was bitterly cold and he could not do without clothes. Now, he was feeling very cold because he was invisible but he was naked without any clothes and he was feeling very cold. Instead of walking about the streets, he decided to slip into a big London store for warmth. Now he looks out for a shop to take some clothes from there. Closing time arrived, and as soon as the doors were shut, Griffin was able to give himself the pleasure of clothing and feeding himself without regard to expense. Now, since the man is invisible, he need not have to pay anything. So he went to the shop, he picked up the best clothing. He broke open boxes and wrappers and fitted himself out with warm clothes. Now he gets into the warm clothes. Soon, with shoes, an overcoat, and a wide brimmed hat, he became a fully dressed and visible person. Now, once he is on to the clothes, he becomes a visible person, but maybe his hands, his head is not seen. Can you see the picture over here? How the man is with all warm clothes and hat. He doesn't have a head, he doesn't have the hands, but he looks like a man with clothes. In the kitchen of the restaurant, he found cold meat and coffee, and he followed up the meal with sweets and wine taken from the grocery store. Now he had stolen everything from every place because he was invisible. He need not have to pay money for everything. So he goes, he enjoys cold meat and coffee. Along with that, he drinks some wine and sweets. Finally, he settled down to sleep on a pile of quilts. Now he takes a good blanket and he sleeps on that. If only Griffin had managed to wake up in a good time, all might have been well. As it was, he did not wake up until the assistants were already arriving next morning. When he saw a couple of them approaching, he panicked and began to run. Now, Griffin, if you had woken up early and if you had gone away from that particular place, it wouldn't be a problem. But he slept till late morning and all the assistants of the shop came there. And when they saw him approaching, he panicked and began to run. So that is what was seen in the previous picture. He was running and there were assistants of the the shop chasing him away. Now what happens further? They naturally gave chase. In the end, he was able to escape only by quickly taking off his newly found clothes. So once more, he found himself invisible but naked in the chill January air. So they nicely chased him away. But at the end, to escape from them, he had to remove his clothes and again become naked to become invisible. But in the chill January air, he was left without any clothes. This time, he decided to try the stock of a theatrical company in the hope of finding not only clothes but also something that would hide the empty space above his shoulders. Now, shivering with cold, he hurried to Drury Lane, the center of the theatre world. Now, he decides, like, he's a headless man because he's invisible, and though he wears clothes, his head is invisible. Now, he decides, not only finding clothes, that he wanted to cover up the empty space above his shoulders, that his head is empty. So he wanted to do something for that. So he thought of doing something different. What he thought of doing? So he goes to a place called Drury Lane. What does he do in Drury Lane is what we are supposed to see now. He soon found a suitable shop. He made his way, invisible, upstairs and came out a little later wearing bandages round his forehead, dark glasses, false nose, big bushy side whiskers and a large hat. To escape without being seen, he carelessly attacked the shopkeeper from behind, after which he robbed him of all the money he could find. Eager to get away from crowded London, he took a train to the village of Iping, where he booked 2 rooms at the local inn. Now, what does he do? He goes to a theatre, a drama, shop, a shop which sells articles for this drama theatres. And there he finds himself bandages around his forehead, some dark, glasses, and he gets a big false nose, and he gets big bushy mustache and a large hat. And then he just attacks the shopkeeper from behind and robs all his money and goes to a village of Iping, where he books 2 rooms in a local small hotel or something like that. The arrival of a stranger at an inn in winter was in any case an unusual event. A stranger of such uncommon appearance set all tongues wagging. Now he was looking very funny with all his bandages and his spectacles and all those stuff. So it was really very uncommon to see people like this. So everybody was shocked to see him. Mrs. Hall, the landlord's wife, made every effort to be friendly. Now the landlord's wife wanted to be friendly with him. She made every effort to be friendly with this person. But Griffin had no desire to talk. But Griffin was not interested in talking to her and told her, "My reason for coming to Iping is a desire for solitude." Now he says, "I want to stay alone. Please don't disturb me. I just leave me for myself. I do not wish to be disturbed in my work. Besides, an accident has affected my face." So he says, "See, I'm not happy to be among you. So I just want to stay alone. And not only that, an accident has happened, so uh, my face has been affected and I am with bandages. So please leave me alone." Satisfied that her guest was an eccentric scientist, and in view of the fact that he had paid her in advance, Mrs. Hall was prepared to excuse his strange habits and irritable temper. Now, Mrs. Hall understood that she is dealing with a eccentric scientist, a man with a terrible character, and she was prepared for that because he paid him the advance. But the stolen money did not last long. But the money which he had stolen did not go for a long time, and presently Griffin had to admit that he had no money, no more ready cash. Now, after some days, Griffin was out of money and he had to tell that he doesn't have money anymore. He pretended, however, that he was expecting a check to arrive any moment, but he started pretending that no, money will come. Somebody is supposed to give me a check and I'll be able to pay your money back. Shortly afterwards, a curious episode occurred. After some time, something different happens there. Very early in the morning, a clergyman and his wife were awakened by noises in the study. Suddenly, a clergyman is a priest in the church, and his wife were woken up by some noises in their living room. Creeping downstairs, they slowly came downstairs. They heard the chink of money being taken from the clergyman's desk. So they could hear some sound of money being robbed from the drawer of the clergyman's desk. Without making any noise, and with a poker grasped firmly in his hand, the clergyman flung open the door. Now, without any noise, the priest opens the door with a poker in his hand. "Surrender," he says. He opens the door and asks him to surrender. Then, to his amusement, he realized that the room appeared to be empty. But though he heard somebody stealing the money from his desk, he saw that the room was empty. There was nobody in the room. He and his wife looked under the desk and behind the curtains and even up the chimney. They searched everywhere in the house, behind the curtain, under the desk, even above the chimney. There wasn't a sign of anybody. There was nobody in the room. Yet the desk had been opened and the housekeeping money was missing. But they could see the drawer was open and there was no money in it. "Extraordinary affair," the clergyman kept saying for the rest of the day. But it was not as extraordinary as the behavior of Mrs. Hall's furniture a little later that morning. Now, this was actually stealing, and this there was nobody in the room, but the drawer was open, money was missing, and clergyman couldn't see anybody in the room. But this was not as extraordinary as what happened with Mrs. Hall. Now, what happens with Mrs. Hall? Let's see. The landlord and his wife were up very early and were surprised to see the scientist's door wide open. Now, for their shock, the Mrs. Hall, Mr. Hall and Mrs. Hall woke up early that day, and they were surprised that the scientist's room's door was open. Usually it was shut and locked. Usually the room used to be locked, and he was furious if anybody entered his room. And usually the scientist used to become angry when somebody enters his room. The opportunity seemed too good to be missed. Now they wanted to get into the room and see what was happening there. They peeped round the door and saw nobody and decided to investigate. Now they decided to go into the scientist's room and see what was happening there. The bedclothes were cold, showing that the scientist must have been up for some time, and the stranger still, the clothes and bandages that he always wore were lying about the room. Now what happens when they enter the room? They see that the bed was cold, and not only that, the clothes and bandages were all lying on the floor. All of a sudden, Mrs. Hall heard a sniff close to her ear. Then, all of a sudden, Mrs. Hall hears a sniffing sound, a sound made through a sniffing sound near her ear. Somebody like smelling. A moment later, the hat on the bedpost leapt up and dashed itself into her face. Suddenly, the hat comes and hits on her face. Then the bedroom chair became alive. The chair in the bedroom, it started springing into the air. It charged straight at her, legs foremost. As she and her husband turned away in terror, the extraordinary chair pushed them both out of the room and then appeared to slam and lock the door after them. Then what happens? The chair suddenly seemed to push Mr. and Mrs. Hall out of the room, and they heard a locking sound of the door. Mrs. Hall almost fell down the stairs in hysterics. She was convinced that the room was haunted by spirits, and the stranger had somehow caused this to enter into her furniture. Now she decides that there is ghost in the room. The ghost was doing all these things. The the furnitures became alive because of the ghost entering into her furniture. My poor mother used to sit in that chair, she moaned. To think it should rise up against me now. Now she's thinking maybe her mother's spirit had come on the chair and it's rising against her. The feeling among the neighbors was that the trouble was caused by witchcraft. Now the people around her house started telling that it was something different. Some black magic has happened and all these things. But the witchcraft or not, when the news of burglary at the clergyman's home became known, the strange scientist was strongly suspected of having had a hand in it. Now, whatever happened in Hall's house, Mrs. Hall's house, they thought it was the ghost. The house was haunted. But when there was a theft, then when there was a news of theft in the clergyman's house, when it came out, everybody suspected the scientist. Suspicion grew even stronger when he suddenly produced some ready cash, though he had admitted not long before that he had no money. Now, sometime before, this man had given cash also. So they had a doubt that he might have taken away the cash. The village constable was secretly sent for. Instead of waiting for the constable, Mrs. Hall went to the scientist, who had somehow mysteriously appeared from his empty bedroom. I want to know what you have been doing to my chair upstairs, she demanded. And I want to know how it is you came out of an empty room and how you entered a locked room. Now she questions the scientist. When she goes up, she finds the scientist there and she asks, what did you do to my chair upstairs? And how did you enter a locked room? How did you come into a locked room, into an empty room? Because I saw somebody locking it earlier. The scientist was always quick-tempered. Now he became furious. The scientist was very short-tempered fellow. He became angry. You don't understand who or what I am? He shouted. He shouts at her, you don't know who I am? What I am? Very well, I'll show you. Then he says, I'll show you what I am. Suddenly he threw off the bandages, whiskers, spectacles and even nose. Suddenly he throws away the bandage around his nose the whiskers, the spectacles, and even the nose. It took him only a minute to do this. The horrified people in the bar found themselves staring at a headless man. Now he removes everything and shows himself as a headless man. Mr. Jaffers, the constable, now arrived and was quite surprised to find that he had to arrest a man without a head. Now the constable came there and he found out that he had to arrest a man without a head. But Jaffers was not easily prevented from doing his duty. If a magistrate's warrant ordered a person's arrest, then the person had to be arrested, with or without his head. Now Jaffers could not escape from his duty because the judge had already given a warrant to arrest this person, and if he had a head or he didn't have a head, he had to be arrested. There followed a remarkable scene as the policeman tried to get hold of a man who was becoming more and more invisible as he threw off one garment after another. Now, in the beginning of the story, also, we know, children, if this person removes his clothes, he becomes completely invisible. So now he started removing his clothes one after the other, and he started becoming more and more invisible. Finally, a shirt flew into the air, and the constable found himself struggling with someone he could not see at all. Now, at last, this person removes his shirt and throws it away, and at last, the constable is running behind a person whom he cannot see at all. Some people tried to help him, but found him themselves hit by blows that seemed to come from nowhere. Some people were trying to catch him, but they were getting only blows in the air because this invisible man was beating them. In the end, Jaffers was knocked unconscious as he made a last attempt to hold on to the unseen scientist. There were nervous, excited cries of, "Hold him!" but this was easier said than done. Griffin had shaken himself free, and no one knew where to lay hands on him. By then, Griffin had become fully invisible, and nobody could catch him because they couldn't see him anymore. So, this is a story about footprints without feet. I hope you understood the lesson, my dear children. I'll be sending the notes along with this chapter and the PDF file of the lesson also. Please read the lesson and complete your notes. Thank you, children.